WGNS, Murfreesboro, Smyrna. Flagship station for MTSU Sports.
Are you concerned with the state of America, your state, and your community? Then you're in the right place. This is the Rutherford Magazine Show with host Mike Sparks. He and guests are here to talk local politics, history, faith, and freedom.
All right, you listen to Rutherford Magazine Show. I'm your host, Mike Sparks. Just left the Isaiah House, 117 ribbon cutting. Just an awesome event. Jeremy Smithson, our faithful intern. Jeremy, how you doing?
I'm good, Mike. How are you?
And then doing good, Jackson Smith, our producer. Jackson, how you doing?
I've been better, but it's
how's
all right.
How's school?
School is very hectic right now.
Man,
we're in final season.
Yep.
Yeah,
I can imagine.
When you graduating?
Probably this fall.
This fall?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. So it'd be December then.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So what's going on? You got any hurts and hang-ups on your mind?
Nothing I can air.
Nothing you want
on
to share.
the radio. Yeah.
Well, you do some side work. Maybe we give you a plug. I mean, you can do some video work if anybody needs some video editing. You're always looking for some side hustles, aren't you?
Of course.
You
I'm
know?
always. Yeah.
How do they get a hold of you?
You can just reach out to my phone, 615-403-4873.
Because that's your major is
Video film production.
That's right. So where do you see yourself in 5 years?
I don't know. Probably working in a post-production house
Mm-hmm.
somewhere in Nashville. Then with either in Nashville or in Georgia.
Yeah, Georgia's a big film area.
That's good.
Yeah.
You know?
What sort of post-production? Like music or audio or like music, film, whatever?
Doesn't matter. Whatever gets floated my way, really. I'm not particularly picky.
But Tyler Perry's got a big studio down there, doesn't he?
Sure, Tyler Perry's looking for video editors. Didn't they build a great big production place down there? I don't really keep track of Tyler Perry, so your guess is
no, man. Georgia's knocking it out when it comes to film.
Yeah.
They've got a lot of tax incentives. Tennessee doesn't offer as aggressively. In fact, I remember I went and met with the what's that guy's name? Is it Bob Gaines? I think it is. I didn't like that we were spending all that money for the show Nashville. I think it was $6 million cost taxpayers, and I just didn't think it made sense. So they were talking about all the publicity. I said, but you're going to still get the publicity. It's called Nashville. He said, well, they could film it in Louisiana. Was offered a lot of tax credits, and Georgia. I said, but let them film it. I mean, if we get the free PR, and that was about 5 years ago. In fact, I was sitting over there in the guy's office. It was kind of weird. I had these pants on, and they were pretty cool pants. And the guy was like, man, them the coolest pants I've ever seen. They were just like a plaid design, and they were pretty cool. But I thought it was neat. No one's ever told me I had some cool pants on, and so I had some cool pants. But no, I think $6 million, that should have been spread out to independent filmmakers. Don't y'all agree?
Yeah, I mean, I'm friends with a lot of independent filmmakers. One who's took his ideas and then he took them with him to Knoxville. I'm not going to say his name because he can't defend himself about it, but I've acted in a couple of his little short films. Me and some of his buddies and my buddies, we've done a couple, just short, just off the cuff films. So,
well, a lot of folks from California are moving out here.
Yeah, I mean, the meme is like, if you see a California plate on a vehicle, you give the driver the evil eye.
Most people I've met though from California are pretty good folks.
Yeah, a lot of them are just trying to get away from just the outrageous cost of living over there on the West Coast.
I mean, it's sad.
Yeah.
Think of all those people that can't afford to leave.
Yeah.
I mean, and then we've got people that can't afford to live in our own community.
That's true.
I mean, I don't know how your generation is going to make it. The average cost of a home is about $395,000 today.
Good Lord.
Housing market crash.
That's
what I'm gambling
I don't
on.
see it happening. I just don't see it happening. I mean, supply and demand. Too many people want to come in here. There's short supply of land. You know.
Phil Wilson, county commissioner. He's also a realtor. I mean, I'm looking. I see what he does. And he's all about trying to like looking out for that housing market and all that. So.
Yeah.
I just look at all of his social media and I just like absorb what he posts. So.
Yeah, I bought my first house at 22. Now it's our business on Nissan Drive, but fortunately I had a nice car that I sold it to afford a down payment. Unfortunately, I had a father who put up the money that I paid him back. I mean, you know, you look at society like this Isaiah house. I mean, the great work that they're doing for the foster care system.
Yeah.
I mean, we're seeing a lot of hurts and hangups in this country. I mean, there's about 8,000 to 8,500 kids in foster care, and I applaud Isaiah 117 for stepping up to the plate. I talked to Jessica and Allie out there earlier, and met with Tracy Hallman, who volunteers a lot, and Brianna Bale. So hats off to those folks. I believe Beth Bryant is going to join us here shortly, who's an active volunteer. They had a great crowd out there. I mean, it looked to me like about 150 folks, many of them volunteers. Many churches have stepped up to assist in that endeavor. But you know, you're seeing a lot of problems in the foster care system and Department of Children's Services, and it's really troubling to me as a lawmaker when we're spending all this money, whether it's raises, which those raises are needed, no doubt, but it's just unsustainable to continue to spend the money we spend on prisons and that we spend on, you know, this Department of Children's Services and other areas. But when you have volunteers and foster families stepping up like that, you know, when children were literally sleeping on the floors of the offices, I mean, something's wrong with our society. And but it's really uplifting when you see a community come together. So hats off to all those folks that are volunteering over there at Isaiah 117. And if folks want to get involved with it, just go to Isaiah117house.com. They're looking for volunteers. An email is info@Isaiah117house.com. And if folks want to become a monthly subscriber, little as $25 a month, that can help some of the kids that will often come by there. And all the volunteers are always looking for toys or clothes or other products or shoes for these kids, you know. Anyways, hopefully Beth will join us. So what's going on with you, Jeremy?
Life. I'm working right now. I've got a steady job going on.
You still over at Smyrna, ain't you?
Yeah, I'm still over there at the golf course over at Smyrna.
So you're working two jobs?
No.
Oh, just that? Okay.
No, it's a good job. I mean, the pay is good for someone like me in that little transitionary period. Going back to school in the fall.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
For a master's?
Second bachelor's.
Oh, really? In what?
History this time.
For real?
Yep.
Oh, good for you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going hand in hand with my whole park ranger search gig.
Yeah. Well, is that something? Have you talked to rangers, or is that something?
I've been talking to rangers. Yeah, I've been visiting. Yeah, I've been visiting out there with Henry Horton. Those folks out there, they're great. They're great people.
We've got a great parks department. I know the state.
Yeah, they do.
State's spending records amount of money to improve the parks and get those folks raises, and many of those folks really weren't making a lot of money.
Yeah,
especially the clerks up front.
Mm-hmm. That's what one of the rangers that I've been talking to. She's one of her concerns. She's actually one. I think she's the one who like handles all the hiring of like the interns, what they call SIR. It's called seasonal interpretive ranger.
Yeah.
She's a full-time ranger herself. That's actually what she started out as. But her big concern was trying to get hours figured out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Have you visited many state parks?
I visited Henry Horton. I visited Old Stone Fort out there in Manchester. I I've been hearing a lot about. Oh man, there's another one.
Montgomery Bell.
I think Montgomery Bell. Yeah,
it's a nice one.
I applied to another one, Davy Crockett State Park. I made it through the first round interview. I haven't got anything back to the second round interview. I'm pretty sure they've probably already made a decision.
Yeah.
Out there, Davy Crockett. I've heard about Fall Creek Falls. I've heard about a lot of these parks out there. All good things.
Yeah.
The state of Tennessee takes pride in their Department of the Interior.
My wife and I often go to Henry Horton. You know, they've got the new clubhouse over there, restaurant.
Yeah, it's good. Me and my folks have ate dinner there.
I mean, you can be there 40 minutes, 45 minutes. From Smyrna.
Well, Murfreesboro, yeah. Well, I mean, like 40 minutes to an hour, possibly, depending on.
There's a lot to do
because
you can go from there and go to all them little towns. Lewisburg,
Eagleville, Chapel Hill,
all that, Shelville, Bell Buckle.
Yep.
I mean, you could really hit a lot of little folks and little places over there.
A lot of folks out there, they work, in conjunction because that area where Henry Horton is, there's a lot of like farmland. They all work together. I mean, you have to.
They still do that skeet shoot. They used to do a skeet shoot out there.
Yeah, there's a little skeet range out there at the park. This other ranger I've been talking to, I'm not going to say his name, again, for privacy reasons, but he oversees a lot of operations at the skeet range. So,
yeah, that's a lot of fun. Well, speaking of California, I had, we've got, a lot of the newly elected state representatives, the one that were expelled, Justin Jones, Justin Pearson. And Justin Jones sits behind me. He's from California. Speaking of people coming in from California. And speaking of history, Justin was, with all due respect, kind of ranting about Nathan Bedford Forrest and some of that stuff. And I just, didn't say anything. I mean, because Forrest has a connection, Chapel Hill, connection to Rutherford County, connection to all over Tennessee. And so I didn't say anything on camera. But the next day, I asked Justin to walk with me, and we walked out front to across from the bus used to be of Nathan Bedford Forrest, and there's a black lawmaker picture there. Well, the bus is here. Samson Keeble. A lot of folks, sadly, a lot of folks don't know who Samson Keeble was. He was the first black lawmaker from Old Jefferson community, which right outside of Smyrna. And I told him, I said, he was Republican. I said, and he was a Confederate soldier. He looked at me, he says, no, he was Union. I said, no, he wasn't a Union soldier. He was a Confederate soldier. They'll never tell you this. So I told him, I said, man, I didn't want to say this on camera. I didn't want to, look like I'm looking for an argument or try to, shame anybody live on camera. But I said, no, he was in the Confederate Army. He probably never fired a shot. He was born at that Stony Lonesome Plantation. I said he had white mentors that helped get him elected. It's a cool story if folks want to look. And I've even said to Dr. McPhee and folks at MTSU, there needs to be a nice documentary about his life. Could you imagine being the first black elected official in Tennessee? And then even the media treated him bad, So there was fake news back then. I mean, they said he looked out of place. And but the point I make with Justin and others is that he had mentors, just like you looking for this park ranger job. I'd find me good mentors. And in fact, if you want, I'll set you up a meeting with the commissioner if you want to. Just I met with one of them a few years ago because I thought they were doing a terrible job of keeping some of these parks clean. I mean, all it takes is a pressure washer, And I mean, if folks that went to Henry Horton a couple of years ago, they would agree. I mean, the porches were just. Look like they've been clean 20 years. Yeah.
Nowadays it looks like just sparkly clean.
Oh, it's I guess at the time they didn't really have resources to do it. Jackson's motion for me to take a quick break. Let's get a quick break and we'll be right back.
Most people know that their insurance can provide them with coverage for the many life's mishaps. But I can help you also unlock discounts, save money, and get benefits with Farmers Insurance Policy Perks. Whether we're discussing home or auto insurance, I am here to help you understand these great perks. Call me, Mark Lewis, at 615-625-7070 for a quote, and you can get a whole lot of something with Farmers Policy Perks.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Not available in every state. Only available select Farmers branded policies underwritten by Farmers Truck or Fire Insurance Exchanges or affiliates. Dr. Automotive Auto Repair and Maintenance Mechanic Shop Garage provides car owners in Smyrna, Murfreesboro, Laverne, and the Middle Tennessee area with excellent auto repair services. Deep-rooted experience in serving both foreign and domestic automobiles allows for proper diagnosis in a timely manner. Check them out online at autorepairsmyrna.com, call them at 615-220-0971, or stop on in at 1205 Hazelwood Drive in Smyrna.
Hey Rutherford County, it's Mark from the Safe House. And now the security riddle of the day. What do big box, fake safes, face masks, and Joe Biden have in common? They don't work, and they promise things that isn't true. So don't get a Joe Biden level of security. Come down to the Safe House and see what a real safe looks like. Unlike most of the other safe dealers in the area, we have safes in stock, ready for delivery. And at the Safe House, gun safes are sales tax free. That's right, sales tax free. So drop by the store or go to NashvilleSafehouse.com. That's NashvilleSafehouse.com.
Hi, this is Allie Dowenhauer with Isaiah 117 House. Isaiah 117 House provides physical and emotional support for children awaiting foster care placement here in Rutherford County. We are changing the way foster care begins, and those kiddos are brought to our house to hang out and wait for a foster family, and they're given everything they need. We support foster children, DCS, and foster families here in Rutherford County. Visit us at www.isaiah117house.com or visit our Facebook page, Isaiah 117 House, Rutherford County.
All right, we're back. Our guest, Beth Bryant, in the house. How you doing?
I'm great, Mike. Thanks for having me.
Yes, great event. We were, Cindy Gossett was showing me around. I mean, the good Lord always takes care of me. I was standing over there at Isaiah House, a huge crowd, and I was just got a few photos, and then Miss Gossett walked up to me. She's a volunteer, I guess, in many areas in the drug court. In fact, the drug court, Jimmy Turner's drug court, is tomorrow at 11 o'clock if folks want to come out and support that program that's changing lives and support those folks who are completing it. But she took me around, and Jessica, they couldn't make it to the studio, and Allie couldn't. And we heard you giving what do you call it? You were doing a tour?
Well, I was upstairs in our giving room.
Yes.
And there were a lot of people up there, and I was trying to get everybody's attention. So
you're doing a great job.
I used I pulled my teacher's voice out of my
That's
back
right.
pocket. I hadn't used it
Yes.
in a while, and to get everyone's attention.
I've heard Smyrna Mayor Mary Esther Reed say the same thing, when she used her teacher's voice. And then Miss Gossett said, "Hey, there's your radio person right there. That's a radio voice, So what's your background?"
So I've grown up in Tennessee, been here my whole life, lived in a lot of different cities, Nashville, Knoxville, Memphis, but I've been in Rutherford County since '94.
So you went MTSU there?
I did.
Okay.
I went to undergrad and graduate school there. Taught in the Rutherford County school system for 7 years until my oldest was born, and then I was a stay-at-home mom after that for 17 years.
You done PTO, you were saying?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
So stay at home, but not really home very much.
Well, that's important.
And then our church, St. Patrick's Anglican Church in
you go on Baker Road?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Started
so know Doug and Linda Atkins?
I do. I know.
They're my
Atkins.
neighbors. They're right behind me.
So we as a church started getting involved in Isaiah 117 House. I guess 2-3 years ago, and about a year and a half ago, I started volunteering, just getting involved that way. That led to me suddenly being in charge of our golf tournament. That led to then I was on the advisory team. And as of last week, I am actually the on-call assistant, and I work with Jess and Allie. I am there to assist them and help them.
What's their last names?
So Allie Dowenhauer and Jess Long.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
So our house, actually, today we had our ribbon cutting. That was the event that you were there
beautiful
for.
Place.
Yeah, and so we actually, tomorrow morning, we have our wonderful DCS caseworkers coming to the house to tour, and we're going to provide breakfast for them because the house is for them as much as it is for these kids that we're serving, and we want them to know the ins and outs of the house, and that it's there for their benefit, and that we're there to serve them as well. And then, we may have children in the home tomorrow night. And we're ready for that. We're excited. We're ready to start making, a difference in the lives of the children in our county.
Well, I think it was Miss Gossett told me earlier, or it may have been Brianna Bell I was speaking to, and I was like, man, too bad the governor wasn't here. We had the governor there. He's naturally his plate is full, and somebody mentioned to me that the governor wanted to see Isaiah House in every county.
I that is something that I don't know about.
Mm-hmm.
I know that the Isaiah 117 House is a nonprofit organization. Corey and Rhonda Polson, this was their dream.
Yes.
And our house today was the 14th house in our county to open, and I'm sorry, in the state of Tennessee.
The state 14.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So is there any county that has two, or is it just they're all in different counties?
No. Now there are like Coffee, Grundy. There are a couple of counties that are smaller, and they share a house. So I think we've got there's a new house that's opening in Trenton, Tennessee, and I believe that house serves 3 smaller counties.
Oh, okay.
And then Davidson County actually just recently, I think they had a private donor that donated an existing home in East Nashville that needs to be renovated.
Yes.
But they'll get that house renovated, and that home will serve all of Davidson County, that metro area.
Yeah. Boy, with a lot of needs. I think the last count I had heard was foster care. There's about 8,500 kids in foster care.
Yeah, I believe right now in Rutherford County we have over 200 children in the foster care system.
Yes. I had seen, I think I was sharing this with Cindy and some other ladies. I hope the detective doesn't mind me sharing it. I mean, I hope I don't get him in trouble, but I'm gonna share it because I really appreciate this guy. Detective Mobes here in Rutherford County had reached out to me, I guess about a year ago, over a young a father had killed the mother in South Carolina. It was in the news last year, and he was leaving that area trying to get to St. Louis. Somehow he wound up down here off the interstate, wrecked the car, and had the little girl. Riley was her name. And that's how I knew about Isaiah House, because the detective reached out to me. He was upset with DCS. He was afraid that DCS was not going to let the mother take custody of her granddaughter. And so it's like the Lord put me there, and I've been studying communication and trying to connect the dots where I can, and so we went to court. I kind of hung out there, and like I say, the detective was pretty upset with DCS at the time, and he asked me, he said, "Do you want to go over the DCS office?" And I was like, "Well, to watch the little girl that was in the foster care be reunited with the grandmother, and I think the 2 sisters, the 2 aunts of the sisters of the deceased mother." And man, it was one of the most touching things I've ever seen. I seen the little girl run up to the folks, and I seen that another female detective had been taking care of, had kind of a couple of the detectives had kind of made the little girl feel comfortable when they after they arrested the father, and then I seen a bag that said Isaiah 117. So I started asking, what's that about? And they started telling me, and I was like, oh, okay. And I think I reached out to Jessica or Allie, and they were on with us, I guess, shortly after that. But man, it's heartbreaking to see the needs that's out there today.
It is, and it is heartbreaking. But I think in the midst of that heartbreak, it's such a light in that dark day for those children. Yes. To know that our house is there. And if you wouldn't mind, I would love to just give a real brief synopsis about kind of like what that looks like for this child. So say, for example, that sweet little girl you were talking about that was in that horrible traumatic situation. We see children every day that that deal with that type of trauma. And unfortunately, the first place that they end up having to go, because there is nowhere else for them to go, is to the DCS office. And so, they're removed from their loved ones, their family members, the only home they've ever known. And there is nowhere for them to go other than to the office, because their caseworker has work to do. She's got to do what she can do, or he can do, to find a place for this child to go now. And unfortunately, the child a lot of times is sitting in that office with that caseworker, and the caseworker is trying her best or his best to make sure that that child is not hungry or not upset, but also making phone calls, trying to do what he or she can to find a good place for this child to go. So with Isaiah House, our goal is, we want to provide a safe and loving and supportive home for these children, so that they can spend that time, that most traumatic day of their life, in a warm and an inviting environment that's centered around them.
Yes.
They walk in and we're like, hey, this house is for you. Everything in this house is here for you. And the DCS worker, that takes a load off of her shoulders so she can do her job. She can go into the office and she can make those hard phone calls, and she can find, a home for this child, or a family member, like you said, that can come and pick up this child, while our volunteers that are very trained and know how to deal with these traumatic situations can make the child a snack. They can go into the kitchen and bake cookies, or they can watch a movie, or they can, get out a board game. They can take a shower. They can, put on a pair of clean clothes. Whatever these children need, that's what we're there to do. We're just there to make the hardest day of their life a little less hard.
Yes. So how many churches are stepping up to assist?
Oh, goodness.
I'm assuming World Outreach, because a lot of World Outreach folks were there earlier.
We've got quite a few churches in the community, and I don't want to make a list, because I would be so afraid I would leave someone off. But there the outpour of support from Rutherford County has just been phenomenal.
Yeah.
I mean, Mike, that room that you were upstairs with me today, every tub that lined those walls that was full of clothes and toiletries and school supplies and coats and duffel bags was all donated by members of our community.
Yes. Churches,
businesses, school clubs, beta clubs that have done drives over the last 3 years. When Allie spoke today on the front porch of our house and said, this community built this house, and they truly did. And, I'm so excited to see the difference that this house is going to make in the lives of the children in our community.
Yes, ma'am. That story, I've started a paper called Issues of Faith. Another way to access is Tennessee Ledger. If you just do in the search Riley, that detective that was with her is Detective Denise Smotherman. So hats off to those detectives, Rutherford County Sheriff's Department, Deputy John, I believe I'm pronouncing it Wojcik. Hope I said it right. But what is so cool about that story right there was the detective that reached out to me is Detective Mobes. When he reached out, Austin Mobes, and when he had reached out to me, I just didn't know what my purpose was there at the moment. But I got talking to the family, and he invited them to church, because they had went to church, and I said, well, what church you go to? I think it was Highland Heights Church of Christ, I believe, in Smyrna. I believe that's where it's at. And I said, well, how'd you pick that church? I'm just curious. You come to Rutherford County, you just decided to go to church. And they said, oh, the detective invited us.
Wow.
And I thought, man, what detective does it but somebody that cares? I mean, so if the sheriff's listener, Chief Lowry, hats off to Austin Mobes for his compassion during a crisis, because, you think of trauma. I mean, we've all had some type of trauma, but but the trauma of your mom being murdered in front of you, I mean, I don't know how you ever overcome that without a bunch of loving, supportive family and others that can step in, but it was just I mean, those stories, Phil Williams, Channel 5, not going to go cover that.
Right.
He's going to find, no disrespect to Phil, but he's going to find the negative. But that's those nice, positive stories that law enforcement are investing to change lives need to be told. But like even you telling the story earlier, because you had a crowd of what? There was about 30, 40 people there.
Oh, outside?
No, just upstairs.
Oh, upstairs. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
there were a lot of people up there. I mean, this organization has grabbed hold of my heart, Mike. And just has not let go. And I truly feel like this, that God wants me here. He wants me to help with this house. He wants me to help with this cause for the children in Rutherford County. And it has its highs and it has its lows for sure, because these children are coming from traumatic situations.
Yes.
And they will continue to, unfortunately, deal with some very difficult things in their lives. And it's not going to all be sunshine and rainbows. But we try to put a lot of sunshines and rainbows into our house because we want it to be, colorful and cheerful and fun. And, like we said, give them something bright and a light of hope in this horrible time in their lives.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned God, you mentioned faith. So obviously you're a believer.
Oh, yes, I am.
Well, if you weren't a believer, would you still be volunteering? I'm just curious.
That's a hard question to answer because I can't imagine not being a believer.
Yes, ma'am.
And
I guess what I'm getting at, does being a believer impact society for the better?
I mean, yes, I would say yes. I think as a, as Isaiah 117 says, be a father to the fatherless. I mean, it is our job to take care of those that can't take care of themselves. I mean, that's what God calls us to do.
Yes.
That being said, I feel certain there are those out there that maybe don't yet believe that still really want to
volunteer.
Yeah, that want to help others. Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I do feel in my heart that God called me to do this.
Going back on that scripture, Isaiah chapter 1, verse 17 is, learn to do right, seek justice, defend the oppressed, take up the cause of the fatherless, plead the case of the widow. I mean, who takes up the cause of the fatherless? I never hear anybody. And the state capitol, they ain't nobody. I mean, I'll be honest with you. There's a book of lobbyists. It's 68 pages long, five people per page. Not one person is advocating for the fatherless or for the widow. Nobody. That sounds crazy. You think 7 million people, Tennessee, great place to live, work, play, retire. People want to move here, but you still see problems of the broken homes, the fatherless, widows, orphans. We're talking about orphans here with the foster care system. To me, faith though is the fuel that can really ignite, if you will, people's passion to make a difference. I'm not saying everybody in church is out there making a difference. I mean, sadly, there's not. But I spoke to a group at Embassy Suites Hotel today, about 120 people, and I had mentioned how, in my opinion, the gospel could do more to impact society than any government program, any course, any academic study out there, because I've seen the evidence. I mean, I remember I had a guy, he was on the radio with me, Gene Garcia. He's with Teen Challenge, and he was on heroin, jacked up, homeless. I remember him telling me he was near a Burger King, and he's homeless, and he's seen a truck that said hope on the back of the truck. He said, man, I need that. I need some hope. He said, man, he just called on the name of the Lord, and he said, I just asked him for a healing. He said, man, I just got healed of heroin. And I was saying, what'd that drug program cost the taxpayers? Okay, because the drug issue is devastating families, communities, law enforcement, so many areas. Every area has been affected, and it costs taxpayers nothing. So my opinion, why not share that? Why not advocate for that? And so many people seem to be silent on those issues. I mean, Christians, I think, are too silent today.
You know, I do think that this house, this home, this organization is giving us a way to take our Christian charity and to do what God has asked us to do, for sure. And I think we definitely are going to reach so many children in our community. And you know, also on that note, I mean, when you were standing out there with me today, Mike, I'm sure you heard that long list that our contractor, Jennifer Thibodeau.
Yes, I meant to ask for that.
Yes, I mean, there were so many local businesses that donated. And, you know, whether they are Christian or not, just good-hearted people that want to make a difference in these children's lives.
Yeah. You know the story of St. Patrick? Because you
I do, yeah.
Not many people know the story of St. Patrick.
Would you like to tell our listeners?
Do you want to tell it?
I'll let you do it.
Well, my mother's named after St. Patrick.
I was in Ireland recently with my family, yeah.
My mother recently passed. She was Scotch-Irish. Her grandfather, she was from Scotland, born at the bottom of Edinburgh Castle, but her grandparents, or her dad, let's see, it'd be her grandfather was from Ireland. You know, the potato famine, they escaped. But St. Patrick, I share this every year at the Tennessee General Assembly because I pay tribute to my mother, who was born on St. Patrick's Day.
He was brought to Ireland as a slave.
A slave. People don't know this, and it kills me. I'm like, man, people don't know their history. Just like that, the first black lawmaker is from this area, and he worked right over here off the square, Samson Keeble, in the newspaper industry. Yeah, and that's what I was telling Justin Jones, the one that's the protester. In fact, he was activist now turned lawmaker. He sits behind me, and I was telling him this story. He's meeting with like President Biden, I think tomorrow or Monday. This stuff's crazy. I mean, some of the things I'm seeing, I'm like, man, I'm living in some kind of a simulation or some kind of a matrix, man. This stuff is wild. So I was telling Justin, why history is important, and I told him the story about Samson Keeble. But no, St. Patrick was captured by Irish pirates.
Right.
And when I first heard Irish pirates, I don't think of Irish pirates.
Yeah.
And I mean, I can imagine a bunch of guys on a ship drinking and fighting, and then they're capturing people like that using slaves. But God showed them in a dream how to escape. And there's a real nice movie if you went to YouTube. I mean, it's like one of them B rated movies, I guess you say, were kind of cheesy, but still the essence of the movie is there. And he had I had a dream. Goes to a port and tells the captain that, like, hey, I need voyage to go back home, and he had no money, and I guess the cap's like, hey, we're not giving you no free ride, and he's like, okay, I'm just gonna let the Lord deal with you because the Lord sent me here. And then they're like, they don't want no bad omens, so they gave him voyage, and so he's back, and he's kind of in nobility, he's upper class, and then he has a dream to go back,
right,
to minister to his captives. I mean, only God does that, and that's like a Joseph story, where Joseph had the dreams, and really pretty touching. But there was supposed to be like a Druid prophecy that someone would come back like a savior that would change the whole country of Ireland, and he changed it. Now, did he run out the snakes? I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know if I've done that.
We actually, when I was in Ireland I was with my mom.
Well, how long ago?
We were there for 10 days. We were there in October, and we we were at Downpatrick, and we saw, allegedly where St. Patrick's buried. So we saw his grave.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So he's supposed to be buried there?
Allegedly.
Okay. Well, usually there's a lot of truth with that. Jeremy, do you know the story of St. Patrick?
I didn't. No.
You didn't?
Not until you told me.
Man, it just amazes me. There's so much cool history that people just don't know. But I know for me, I can find hope because I know it. You know, it's kind of lonely for me in the legislature. You know, I don't go hang out at the country club. I don't go golfing with these folks. I mean, I don't go to Jimmy Kelly's and eat steak. I'm going to go home and hang out with my hot wife of 34 years. I mean, there's no men I'd rather be with and be with my own wife. But it's cool when you can look back and say, man, I think I'm dealing with something tough. Look at what he went through.
Right.
Look what Joseph got sold into slavery by his own brothers. But God had a plan.
Jonah got swallowed by a whale.
I know. That's what we were studying that in church the other day. You know, God uses some. What's the scripture? 1 Corinthians verse 27. That God will use the foolish things of the world to confound the wise, and the weak to shame the strong. But the story of St. Patrick's pretty cool. I'm in a SEO class right now at MTSU. Been studying a little bit of communication, and my professor is Todd O'Neill. Good Irish name. So they've got a trip planned, and I thought about going, and I was kidding him. I was like, look, man, I don't drink. I said, I don't want to get out there and end up drinking a bunch of that. What's the beer the Irish beer?
Guinness.
Guinness.
Yeah.
Guinness.
It's an acquired taste.
He said, no, you don't have to drink it, but naturally, I guess everybody does. But they got a 1,000-year lease or something? Have you heard that? On the Guinness has a 1,000-year lease on some property. I think
it's pretty lucrative. 1,000-year lease on it's pretty much their their manufacturing plant or whatever, their brewery. But it's pretty lucrative. Cool. So
I met a Irish lobbyist years ago at a prayer meeting, a little redheaded girl, and she was the term limit issue. She was the liaison for the term limits. We just passed that. But I mean, it's going to take an act of Congress to take it up. But we just passed, I think, last month. In fact, the guy's been on the radio, Aaron Duquette, many times with it. But I thought about going. What was a round trip per person? About $4,000.
So, I'll be honest with you. My mom paid for this trip for us. So. My mom and dad had taken this exact trip 7 years prior, and they were planning to go back for their 50th wedding anniversary.
Oh, really? Do you have Irish Scottish heritage?
My dad did have some Scottish heritage, but it's just always kind of just been something that they've been very.
So does he like to argue and is real tight, real frugal?
No.
Let's see.
So sadly, my dad passed away before they were able to go back.
Oh, sorry.
He passed away in 2018 unexpectedly, and so my mom decided that she was going to take us.
Oh, that's good.
And so we got to go, and we did the exact same trip that she and my dad had taken. So it was a really great experience.
I grew up Catholic. Did you grow up Catholic?
Actually, I grew up Episcopalian, and currently
So that's what St. Patrick's Church is.
And I attend St. Patrick's Anglican Church.
That's a beautiful place out there. My friend Daryl Cantrell lives to the right.
Okay.
You know Daryl?
Yeah.
House right there? Yeah.
Yeah.
I need to get Daryl on the radio with me sometime. He's pretty honorary guy sometimes, especially back in the day. But no, I grew up Catholic, and my mother, we've been taking care of her for 6 years. She recently passed, but I passed some legislation about 2-3 years ago, making Amazing Grace the official state hymn, state song, and it was written by a slave ship captain. A lot of people know the history of Amazing Grace, But we grew up, singing it. If you're ever in church, you sang Amazing Grace. But one reason I wanted to run that was to show the importance of history. It was written by a slave ship captain, John Newton, who influenced the lawmaker William Wilberforce, who helped free the slaves about roughly 30 years before America did. And for some strange reason, a black senator out of Memphis, Akbar, carried it for me. People are like, man, this is amazing how you put this together. I'm like, no, the Lord put it together. I didn't do it. He put it together, and because people want to rant about certain elements of history, but they never want to investigate the truth of history, But where my mom passed at home, another issue I took on is music therapy, the power of music for post-traumatic stress, power of music for Parkinson's or dementia, and really just any kind of it can help with healing with different areas. And I was playing Amazing Grace while she was in hospice. I mean, and I watched her breathing calm down, and I watched her moans calm down, and the next morning she passed. I think that's a sign for us to take a quick break. Let's take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Most people know that their insurance can provide them with coverage for the many life's mishaps, but I can help you also unlock discounts, save money, and get benefits with Farmers Insurance policy perks. Whether we're discussing home or auto insurance, I am here to help you understand these great perks. Call me, Mark Lewis, at 615-625-7070 for a quote, and you can get a whole lot of something with Farmers policy perks.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Not available in every state. Only available at select Farmers branded policies underwritten by Farmers Truck or Fire Insurance Exchanges or affiliates.
Hi, this is Allie Dowenhauer with Isaiah 117 House. Isaiah 117 House provides physical and emotional support for children awaiting foster care placement here in Rutherford County. We are changing the way foster care begins, and those kiddos are brought to our house to hang out and wait for a foster family, and they're given everything they need. We support foster children, DCS, and foster families here in Rutherford County. Visit us at www.isaiah117house.com or visit our Facebook page, Isaiah 117 House, Rutherford County.
My wife and I enjoy going by Yard Sale Inc. We usually go to both locations, the one in Smyrna as well as the one in Murfreesboro. A lot of times on Saturday mornings we stop by, and their inventory changes weekly, so you never know what you're going to see, and it's mostly open box. The name fits it. It's exactly that. It's a yard sale. If you don't totally agree with the price, the staff is always friendly and nice and willing to work with you.
That's the Yard Sale store in Smyrna at 111 Enon Springs Road West, in Murfreesboro at 204 South Front Street, and online at bestdealintown.com.
AFFI is Middle Tennessee's premier choice for pest, wildlife, and moisture control. They specialize in those difficult and unique cases. You can reach them by phone at 615-300-2395. That's 615-300-2395. Or stop in at 200 Glenrose Lane in Smyrna.
Mike and Felicia Sparks, owner of the Vanity Zone Salon, want to invite you to stop in for your next haircut or color. Their stylists Michelle, Tori, Tracy, Brandy, Sarah, and Gail offer the best creative cuts and color for all ages, for men and women. The Vanity Zone is located at 732 Nissan Drive in Smyrna, to the right of the Crystals Restaurant. To look and feel your best, visit the Vanity Zone Salon today. Call 615-355-1721 to book your next appointment.
When I say VFW, you probably have some visions of a smoke-filled bar with a bunch of old-timers eyeballing you. Well, the Stones River VFW is doing things different. No smoke-filled rooms, no turning prospective members away, and a strong emphasis on camaraderie and community. We believe in instilling our American values in our young people through numerous programs such as Voice of Democracy, Patriots Pen, Scout of the Year, and VFW Teacher of the Year. Stones River Post intends on becoming a driving force to help, aid, and assist wartime veterans. So if you're one of those veterans with a campaign medal and you want that sense of purpose that you've been missing, then give our recruiter Andrew Farr a call at 615-490-5715.
We're back. Rutherford Magazine Show. Me host Mike Sparks. Speaking with Beth Bryant with what's your position with Isaiah House?
Okay, so Allie and Jess are co-program directors, and I am officially their assistant. So the way things work with our house, we have an on-call phone, and so when DCS has a need, when they have a child that needs a lunch or a dinner or clothing or toiletries, because up until this point, Mike, the house hasn't been open, and so for the past 3 years we've been serving DCS even though the house hasn't been open, and we have we've had all these amazing contributions from our community. So while we were waiting for our house to be open, we wanted to help these children. And so DCS will text or call the on-call phone. Hey, we had an 11-year-old boy come to the house. He's a new removal. He has nothing but the clothes on his back. Can you guys help us? And so then whoever has the on-call phone will go into our volunteer program. And we've got, I think right now, over 200 volunteers.
Oh, and really? Just in Rutherford County?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so then our volunteers will reach out to them, see who can meet the need. So that the person that has the phone, that's their job, is to find the volunteer that can meet that need. Hey, who can go shopping or who can go to the house and pull what this child needs? And then if for some reason we can't find a volunteer to fill that need, then whoever's on call, that's their job. And so Allie and Jess, they wear so many hats. They have so much responsibility. And so as their assistant, 2 weeks out of the month, I will be in charge of that phone for those 2 weeks. And then the 2 weeks that I'm not on call, I'm just there to do what they need. Especially when the house opens, just coming in, making sure the pantry's stocked with all the things that kids love. Make sure the freezer's got lots of chicken nuggets. If the beds need to be changed, if I need to go upstairs to that room that you saw, the giving room, those kinds of things.
So if folks if folks are listening, maybe it's a school teacher, maybe it's a retired teacher, maybe it's someone in law enforcement, or just someone who just wants to volunteer, what's the best way to reach y'all?
Absolutely. So Isaiah117house.com, that is the best place to start. There you can really see what our mission is, and you can read the story about how we got started.
Yes.
And then from there, you would choose the Rutherford County page. And if you go to that Rutherford County page, it's going to take you directly to a link where you can choose, I want to volunteer. I want to give a monetary donation. I think there's a link to our Amazon wish list there. If you just want to get on and purchase some items, those would be delivered directly to the home. Also, we have a golf tournament coming up. If you're a golfer, in September, Friday, September 22nd, there's a link there to register for that golf tournament. There's also some sponsorship opportunities with that golf tournament as well for businesses.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where's that at?
It's going to be at Indian Hills Golf Course. Yeah.
We were playing. Going back on Amazing Grace, I'm gonna switch gears. When I wanted to pass this piece of legislation, I reached out to MTSU, the Center for Popular Music, over there, and I forgot the guy's name, but I asked him if he had any advice on researching, Amazing Grace, and he said, "Well, buy the book by Steve Turner called Amazing Grace." So I immediately ordered the book. The book got delivered with Amazon maybe the next day or two. I immediately started reading the back of the book, and I see a quote from Bono of U2 talking about Amazing Grace. And then I immediately went to YouTube and searched U2 Amazing Grace, and Bono was playing that in Nashville. That's what you just heard. That was him playing it at the beginning of a concert, playing Amazing Grace, and I call that confirmation.
Wow, yeah.
When I seen that, but 200 volunteers, is that pound for pound kind of a record compared to the other 13 Isaiah homes?
Oh gosh, no, I wouldn't know, but I know that all the counties in Tennessee have. I mean, they've all had just an outpouring of support. So. I don't know if it's a record.
Yes, ma'am. 200 volunteers is pretty awesome.
It is. It definitely is. And there's always a need. We actually had an event on this past week. We had a lunch and a dinner out at the Lane Agri Center, and where we invited just people from the community that just to kind of like, hey, our house is about to open, and a lot of people don't know what we're about, and we just wanted to share that.
Exactly.
And that one day, Mike, we raised $45,000.
Really?
Yeah, we did.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, what's this about? I've got this sock buddy.
Oh, yeah, the sock buddy. So this is a great way if you want to help. And there's a link. If you go to the Isaiah117house.com, like I said, there's a link to become a sock buddy. So this is a way to help on a monthly basis. You can choose, I believe it's $25 a month. You can choose, I think there's $50 a month, $75 a month. But basically $25 a month will cover the cost of one guest at our Isaiah 117 house, the needs of one child that we see. And you get some really cool Isaiah 117 house socks.
Oh, okay.
And, while the kids are there, like I said, we give them brand new clothes, new shoes, all the toiletry products they need, even toys, just to give them on their journey. Another really cool thing that we do, which I think is really amazing, is we have a freezer up in our giving room, and the only purpose of that freezer is for family meals. So say this child is going to this brand new family they've never met before, we will give them a frozen dinner to take with them, to give to their foster parents for that first night that they're there with their new family, so they feel like they're contributing. Hey, I know I'm coming into this family. I'm new, you don't know me, but here's dinner. Let's sit down and eat together. So that's another thing that we do that I just think is so amazing.
Do you know if with the Hope Scholarship, where the students will volunteer, I guess y'all would be an area that the kids could volunteer?
I will say this, not in our home, actually, because we work directly with DCS.
Yes, ma'am.
Our volunteers have to be approved through the state, and so we cannot have volunteers in the home that are below the age of 18. Yes, absolutely. And we have had so many clubs and organizations in our high schools that have done like drives, like blanket drives or stuffed animal drives, shoe drives, things like that. So yeah, there's always a way for the community to get involved and for kids to get involved. In July, we have a big lemonade stand fundraiser that we do, and I believe last year we had maybe 30 lemonade stands over Rutherford County.
Oh, really?
Different, yeah. So we had individuals that would set up their lemonade stands. We had soccer teams that would do it, churches, and it's actually like a contest that they do, and whoever has the best lemonade stand, whoever raises the most money, kind of gets accolades for that. But that's in July. That information will be on our website as well. So that would be another way for teens or youth to get involved. Set up a lemonade stand in your neighborhood and raise some money for the house. That would be great.
Ma'am. How much was raised with all that? Do you know? With
the lemonade stand last year, I don't know. I don't want to say because I'm afraid I would say the wrong number.
It's a shame Mayor McFarland hadn't cracked down on kids doing lemonade stands like some communities have. I'm just teasing. If he's listening, Shane wouldn't do that anyways. Neither would the council.
Everybody needs a glass of lemonade.
Well, but hey, seriously, all this excess regulation, they're stopping that kind of stuff from happening. The legislature, we passed some good bills where, like food trucks, for example, you don't have to get one permit with the fire marshal to go to every county. So that was something that I was glad to see them pass. And I think if you're a farmer, you want to do, or if you're at the farmer's market or up here on the square, you have one permit. They'll inspect it once a year, and it's kind of a streamlined, more efficiency type area for farmers and folks that want to, be out there, whether it's a food truck or just doing some type of sales like that on the square. With our final few minutes, you have any last comments?
Just thanks for having me, and thanks for letting me talk about Isaiah 117 House, and just so excited to see how this house is going to change the lives of the kids in our community.
You're a perfect spokesperson for them, and beautiful lady, if that's okay, and a school teacher. So you bring a lot of skill sets to the table. Thank you, Miss Bryant. Thank you, Jeremy Smithson and Jackson Smith, our producer. Folks, we'll see y'all next week.
Portions of our programming have been pre-recorded. The Good Neighbor Network, WGNS.